Today, we are going to cover the 4.2 big ideas. So the first thing we need to talk about is observational studies and experiments and why they are different. So an observational study, there is no treatment. We only observe something that's already happening. But with an experiment, we impose a treatment. So we do something to the people of the experiment. We impose a treatment on them. This allows us to say there is causation between one thing and another. So that's the key between observational studies. Is there a treatment imposed? If there is, it allows us to say that there is causation. All right, so then with experiments, we have an explanatory and response variable. We use the explanatory to predict. There's more than one, we call them factors. And factors have levels. The response variable is your outcome. So what is the explanatory variable doing? The treatment is what is done to the participants. The experimental units are what or who the treatment is imposed on. If it is a who, if it's a person, we call the experimental unit a subject. Confounding variables are variables that are not controlled for that affect the results. So if we're imposing a treatment, but we have a different variable that could come into play, which one is actually causing the results? The one that we imposed or the one that was just there normally? A little bit more details about experiments. Control group is used to provide baseline data. And then we compare the control group to the experimental group. Blinding is when either a subject and the experimenters don't know what treatment they got. So a single blind is when the subjects do not know what treatment they get. And then a double blind is when both the subject and the experimenter don't know which treatment is applied to who. And then the placebo effect is when a fake treatment works. A lot of times, things like a sugar pill will be given to people as a placebo in the control group. And then with the placebo effect, sometimes people think they are receiving the benefits of whatever the treatment is when they are not actually receiving the treatment. The 4 key principles of experiments. At this point, hopefully you've watched the video. If you watched up to here, if you email me your favorite animal, I will give you extra credit. So email me your favorite animal and I will give you extra credit. So the 4 key principles of experiments: comparison. So we have 2 or more treatments. We are comparing things. Random assignment. We use chance to assign treatments to experimental units. A lot of times that'll be done with random on the calculator or a table of random digits. Control. We try to keep all other variables besides treatment constant. And replication, using enough experimental units to distinguish differences. So we have enough people. We're not just doing the experiment to one person and saying that this thing causes the other. We're doing it to as many as possible, usually. Different types of experimental designs. So completely randomized, we just randomly assign treatments to experimental units. So we just gather all our experimental units, number them, and randomly assign a treatment. Randomized block design is where we form blocks, which are groups of experimental units that are known to be similar. So we form separate groups of people that are similar, and then assign the treatments within each block. So maybe males and females, and then we randomly assign the males to the different treatments, and then we randomly assign the females to different treatments. This allows to eliminate that variable if males and females respond differently. Then matched pairs. We can use this to compare two treatments. The first option is to use block of size 2. So you can pair two very similar experimental units and then randomly assign. The opposite treatment to each. Another way matched pairs works is having each person use each treatment. So for the first one, an example would be like ranking people by their grades and then having the top 2 do different treatments, the next 2 do different treatments, and so on all the way down. So that would be your blocks of size 2 going by grade. Number 2 would be like having each person so there used to be a thing called the Pepsi Challenge where people would drink Pepsi and Coke and then try to decide which one they liked better. So that is a matched pairs. The second option, they got each treatment and then they decided which one they liked. So that's matched pairs that way.